Clarice Schillinger here, and
BethAnn Rosica.
so you all might know us mostly as the moms with back to school and electing school board candidates um, all around. BethAnn, would you like to tell everyone about what our new adventure is?
Well, Clarice and I are always looking for a new challenge and looking for something fun to do because we love working together so much. So we are looking to educate all those parents out there, not just in Pennsylvania, but all over the country about what's happening in our schools and our education system and how they're being influenced and really what we can do to change that, what we can do to make a difference because we're not about complaining about things unless we're actually going to fix them.
That's
So
right.
we're hoping to fix a whole bunch of stuff. And this podcast is one of our first initiatives in trying to do that.
Yeah, I can't agree more, Beth Ann. You know, you and I, when I was running for lieutenant governor, it must be told that Beth Ann joined me for a lot of those miles, and we did about 30,000 miles in 5 months. And we would discuss things in the Tahoe, and we said, well, why don't we just put it on camera? Why don't we just bring the conversation and really talk about getting real results? You know, we would see everyone on social media complaining and wishing that people would act. And many of you have. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, our children, your children, our future, because you all have really made a huge difference. And we couldn't do it without you, that's for sure. BethAnn, I'm not sure if you've seen Randi Weingarten from the American Federation of Teachers, the president. She's in Ukraine. I'm just wondering, do you want to watch her video?
I think we absolutely should watch her video.
Okay. I think that a lot of people will actually be shocked at how she is spending her time and what us and our children have been through. So let me pull this up.
So, we've been in Zamość for the last couple of hours and checking in on the people that we were visiting in Ukraine and Lviv. And we've made a decision that we're going to go to Lviv and talk to the union leaders there, and that we're not going to let Putin get away with terrorizing people. Putin terrorized people today with this wave of indiscriminate bombings throughout the cities of Ukraine, as he has terrorized people since February. So our trip of solidarity and bearing witness is probably more important today than it was when we planned it. And so the schools are closed. Children are learning remotely or in bunkers right now, but the union leadership wants to meet with us, and we want to meet with them, and so we're on our way to Lviv.
BethAnn, you have to give me your comments.
Well, I mean, I have so many comments on this, I don't even know where to start. But the first thing that strikes me about this is the words that she used, bearing witness, that they want to bear witness to what's happened. And what I'd like to know from her is, where did she bear witness in the United States when our schools were closed, in some cases for 2 years? Where was she bearing witness? Was she sitting in kids' living rooms, visiting families, visiting teachers, visiting schools? I certainly never saw any coverage of her bearing witness to the debacle of school closures that happened here in the United States.
It's a true disgrace. I mean, it's frankly how you and I have met, and then we pulled back the rug and really saw what was really going on in our schools when it comes to curriculum, when it comes to transparency, all the above. And what really strikes me about this video, besides the fact that I thought it was Putin, not Putin, but okay, that was a little joke. But really, what really strikes me about this is that she is in Ukraine fighting for those children to hopefully get back in the classroom. That's what we all want. What really bothers me and troubles me is that our children in America are so behind. They are leaving schools. The test scores, I mean, the numbers don't lie. It's in the numbers. They are not efficient in reading, writing, and arithmetic. And to be fighting for another country while our country so desperately needs leadership.
I mean, we have a mess here. And really, a big part of that mess is her fault. And that's the part that is really problematic to me. She's not some innocent bystander who got on a plane and flew to the Ukraine to be supportive. She is in the United States. You know, everybody knows her name, everybody knows who she is. She is the union boss, and she is making a lot of money, but B, her policies are what got us into this position. You know, she colluded with the White House. You know, she colluded with the US Justice Department. You know, she wanted to call all of us domestic terrorists that were at the 1 year anniversary of parents speaking out at school board meetings being called domestic terrorists. So
And
she was the impetus for so much of what happened and keeping these schools closed, that it is unconscionable to me that she now wants to go travel to other countries and tell them that they have to figure out opening schools.
yeah, let's not forget that she was sitting at the decision-making table with the CDC when they were writing the guidance for our schools. And, she sits at the curriculum table, and she sits at the, Libraries Association table. These, all these things that we face as parents right now. I will say that Randi Weingarten is the one that is invited. And, that's what you and I have always fought for, is a seat, a representative, someone looking out for the children, the parents, the taxpayers, instead of these unelected bureaucrats that are really running our education system. But it's really troubling that our children are still suffering. We have incredibly dangerous curriculum and studies in our classrooms right now. We've really gotten away from the basics of being successful human beings in society and having the tools to be able to do that. And just her being over there really, really disturbed me. With the midterms coming up, I just hope that it's another layer to this. So I want to talk to you about the midterms.
Let me
Give
just
me your thoughts.
let me just jump
Yeah.
in with
Yeah.
one other thought, because
Sure.
what I want, what I hope that parents have started to realize by now is that these teachers unions, and let's be clear, when we talk about the teachers unions, we are not talking about teachers. We
That's
say
right.
this all the time, but we have to repeat ourselves so that people understand. We love our teachers. We think that our teachers are incredibly hardworking. We think that they suffered as much, if not more, than many of the children across this country. And I think that the lion's share of them did an amazing job trying to keep things
Yeah.
together for our kids. So this is not about teachers. This is about a political agenda from the teachers union. And whether it's the AFT or the NEA, they have a political agenda that has nothing to do with supporting teachers or supporting outcomes for children. I'll give you an example. I can't remember if it was the NEA or the AFT, but one of them in their strategic plan last year, it was like a 50-page document, all these bullet points, was a goal was the unionization of Amazon workers. Now, you tell me why would a teachers union be involved in the unionization of a private company? It makes absolutely no sense.
Yes.
But I use this to illustrate the point that that's the deal here. These teachers unions are making money hand over fist. Most of the teachers who belong to these unions don't even know where these dues are going and the radical agendas that they're trying to support. And so whether it's the unionization of Amazon workers, whether it's defunding the police, whether it's trying to insert inappropriate materials into our classrooms, this is all being driven by the teachers union.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. I obviously could never say it better. And I actually think that our next episode of our podcast really should be digging in to what the breakdown is of the rank and file members, the teachers, and then the teachers union leaders, which are two very, very different things. The teachers are going to the classroom every day, and God bless them for the work that they do. And I want to echo that we, support our teachers and cannot do this without them. And frankly, many of them contact us on a daily basis saying, that they're on our side and please help us just get back to teaching. So that's a very important note. I just want to be clear that public union, which is the teachers union, is using public taxpayer dollars to make these changes and influence elections. And BethAnn, with the midterms coming up, I do think that our next podcast is really digging in deep. I had a speaking engagement a few weeks ago, and a teacher had come up to me and asked, wait, you're telling me this 15% of my paycheck is going to influence elections that I don't even know where the money is going? And yes, that is correct. So the midterms right now, the polls are showing, and I tweeted this today because I think that it's really important. The polls show inflation, they show economy, they show crime. And I wanted to get your take on education not being in those top three. And so many people look at us and ask, many times, are we trying to end prohibition? The children are back in the classroom. That's not the case here. It's about really making sure our children are set up for their next step in life, whether that is the military, college, a trade, whatever they are to be successful. Do you think it is a miss in the midterms that education is not polling as high? Do you think that the questions on these polls are even geared towards education? I'm having a hard time seeing, because we still see so many parents upset that education is not in those top three. I just wanted your take on that.
Well, I think there's a couple different dynamics at play. I do think that you're right. I'm guessing that the polls are probably not asking the right questions and framing things in a way that we're getting that data correctly. Because clearly, all the parents that I talk to are concerned about a number of areas regarding our kids' education. But I also think that there are so many things that are so bad right now. When you look at the price of gas, when you look at the price of groceries, when you look at the supply chain, when you look at the divisiveness that's happening in our country, I mean, quite frankly, I didn't think things could get any more divisive under Donald Trump's administration. I mean, people were really polarized then. And it's worse now. I mean, it is more polarized now than, in my opinion, than it was under Trump's administration. And that is shocking. And so I think that there's so many issues going on that people are really concerned about. People can't figure out putting food on their table, for their family. So I think that that is taking away some of the impetus behind acknowledging what's happening in the classroom. I think that there are parents who are just so grateful that schools are reopened and their kids are going to school every day that they almost don't even want to complain about it because they sound ungrateful.
Right.
And I think that's a really big deal. But I have a PhD in education. I've spent my entire career advocating and providing services for our most vulnerable students, our inner city, our minority, our low income kids that really, really need education that, haven't traditionally been able to get high quality education. And the impacts of school closures on those kids has been so disproportionate. We talk about this all the time. Our kids are going to be okay because we're going to make sure they're okay because we can send them to private school or we can get them tutors or we can get them therapy or whatever it is that they need. We're going to make sure that they get it. But there are so many families and children that don't have access to those same services. So I do think that this is a big deal. And I really wish that more of the politicians running in the midterms were talking about these issues more coherently.
Me too, totally. When I constantly see the number for crime, the crime is just outrageous. You and I being in the suburbs of Philadelphia, but that it's outrageous everywhere. When I travel to New York, I'm scared. When I travel to LA, I'm scared. And when I'm doing this traveling, I'm traveling for work, and I'm nervous and I'm scared. And so I've been really watching news articles on crime, and it is very obvious that the majority of crime that is happening is within our adolescents, our youth.